Wow, you are in for a treat. So where is sixth grade? Sixth grade, you started this program. I said to Maestro Cates this morning, I have to stop and really acknowledge you were the first class that introduced actually Mrs. Miadowski's story at the time. Then the following year was Rabbi Waznika. Last year was the Bostani family, and actually, this is a painting by Kathy Bostani, right on the miracle slide. And today, you have a job. You are going to hear an amazing story of somebody who came to America for freedom. So this is your job. You're going to be detectives. You're going to listen to the clues. You're going to try and figure out who is it this year. Can we give them one clue? Okay. One. It is somebody here at Wise School and Stephen Wise Temple. Let's begin.
Show them our appreciation and our silent applause.
Rabbi Ron, we all know how much you know about Pesach, so we have a question for you.
Go for it.
Ma nishtana hayom hazeh. Why is this day different from all other days?
Well, I know how to answer that question on Passover, but you really got me stumped today. Tell me, why is this day different from all other days?
Today we are going to tell you a very special story, a true story about a little girl and her family's exodus, and the miracle that brought them to freedom in America.
So it sounds to me like you're saying that the Passover story from long, long ago is really like our own story.
That's right, Rabbi Ron. The Haggadah tells us, We should read the story of our people when they left Egypt. Think of it as if we were living it ourselves. So sit back and listen to an amazing true story. Rabbi, do you know what the word Exodus means?
Well, why don't you tell me?
It means to leave somewhere to go to a new place. There is a very important story of the exodus of the Israelites from Egypt.
Did you know that the story of Exodus is not only our people's story, it is the story of many different people, Jewish and other religions, from far away or close by.
The Torah reminds us 36 times that once upon a time we were strangers in another land, and so we must know everyone else's story.
Why do you think that is?
Because ha'acher hu ani, the other is me. We are all connected by our stories. And since we are all students of Torah, let's get started.
Great. Let's get started.
Far, far away and long ago, in Berlin, Germany, there lived a boy named Tom.
Tom loved his family and friends. His dad, Gustav, was a pediatrician, a doctor who takes care of children.
Tom's mother, Irene, volunteered as a social worker. That's someone who helps people and families with their different problems.
She had a big heart and loved doing mitzvah and helping everyone.
Gustav loved his job as a doctor because the medical program in Germany made sure everyone was taken care of, no matter who they were.
Tom's sister Bridget liked to play the violin. She played so beautifully. Tom liked to play soccer. He followed all the teams in Germany.
Whenever Passover time came around, Tom and Bridget would help their mother Irene prepare the house for Passover.
It was the time that the family loved and meant so much to them because they were all together.
I wonder if Tom and Bridget sang the order of the Pesach Seder the way we do today.
In fact, Rabbi Ron, they did.
When Tom and Bridget were teenagers, things weren't going so well in Berlin, the city that they lived in.
A very mean group of people called Nazis started becoming very powerful in Germany. They hated Jews and all people who were different than they were.
There was an election in Berlin. They gained even more power. This would make it hard for Tom's family and all the Jews of Germany.
Gustav and Irene began to worry because the Nazis were beginning to take control of their city. But they still loved Germany and thought everything would be all right.
Tom and his sister Bridget continued to live a normal life, playing the violin, going to soccer games, and going to school with their friends, just as if nothing was wrong.
A year later, Tom's father lost his job. They said it was because he was Jewish and that he was only allowed to treat patients who were Jewish.
In the back of his mind, Gustav knew things were getting worse in Berlin, but he did not think it would last very long.
In fact, he continued to be a doctor from his own home, but treated only Jewish children. He may have been worried, but he remained brave.
You know, in Hebrew, there's a phrase, Kal ha'olam kulo gesher tzar ma'od. It means the world is a very narrow bridge. The secret is not to be afraid, to be brave.
A little while later, Tom's mother became even more worried and quietly suggested that Gustav look for another job, somewhere far away from Berlin where they would all be safe.
Soon it became so bad that Gustav called his friends to help him find a way for his family to leave Germany.
He made a trip to England all by himself and then traveled to the United States.
Some people in the United States gave him a job because they knew how dangerous it was for Jews in Germany, and they wanted to do a mitzvah.
Meanwhile, back in Germany, Irene and the children were waiting to hear from Gustav about what was going on.
In one letter, Gustav said to Irene, "You must get out of Berlin now. Come to America. Do not worry about packing up anything. Just get out now, before it's too late. Soon the Nazis won't let you leave and you'll never get out."
In our Passover Seder, we sing about something just like this, except it was Pharaoh who would not let the Israelites leave.
Irene knew that Gustav was right. She and the children immediately left, leaving all their possessions and friends and family.
The family finally arrived in the United States just before the terrible World War II broke out.
Wow, that is an amazing story.
That's right, Rabbi, but that's just the beginning.
Tom was a very unusual young man of 14. He felt the call from God to help others and stand up when he was needed. When he turned 19, he joined the American Army to fight in World War II.
You know the word Hineni? Hineni? In Hebrew, it means here I am. I am ready to stand up and be counted on when it really matters. It sounds like that's what Tom said to himself.
That's right, Rabbi. Tom went overseas to fight the war because he hated the Nazis and what they had done to his beloved Germany. He hated how they were treating the Jewish people. He wanted to stand up and make a difference.
A year later, the war with Germany was over and Nazis were defeated. Tom was a very happy soldier, but there was another war in another part of the world.
Tom was called on a top secret mission, and he joined the army again to write the news about the Korean War. He continued to stand up for what's right and fight for what's right. Eventually, Tom came home to America.
The Jewish people found out that one day Tom heard that the Jewish people were fighting to have their own country, Israel. So once again, he went off to fight in another war, this time the War of Independence for Israel.
After Israel defeated her enemies and gained her independence, Tom stayed in Israel and worked on a kibbutz for a time. Eventually, he returned to America to finish college, where he studied writing. He wanted to become a journalist.
Tom always loved writing and began his first job editing a newspaper in San Francisco.
One day, one of Tom's friends had a party. Tom looked across the room and saw a beautiful young lady from Israel. Her name was Rachel.
By the end of the evening, they had fallen in love, and he offered her a ride home on his motorcycle. She accepted it, and Tom liked that because to him it meant that she was brave.
On October 7th, in Tom's mother's apartment, Tom and Rachel were standing under a chuppah and were married, surrounded by friends and family.
Tom and Rachel settled in Los Angeles, and they were soon the parents of 3 lovely girls.
Their daughters grew up and went to school here in Los Angeles. Their oldest daughter loved to meet with friends for Israeli folk dance.
One day, while folk dancing, she met a handsome man from Israel named Danny. She fell in love and got married.
She studied to be a teacher because she wanted to teach children and share her love of Israel and Judaism.
One day, she received a call from the head of Y School, Matuga Benjamin. She interviewed for a job of teaching at her school, and to this day, 38 years later, she's one of our very own teachers. Please welcome our mystery Passover hero, granddaughter of Gustav and Irene, daughter of Tom and Rachel, our very own
Mrs. Orly Raven!
All right. Wow. That was incredible. Maxine, we're going to go. Yeah. Yeah? All right. All right. So, who's the mystery person? And here is Tom. And here is Rachel, Rachel, and Danny. You're part of this? And Yaniv, Oli's son. Wow. Tom, do you have a few words for us? Tom said at the beginning when we couldn't give Oli too many hugs to give it away, and I said, Tom, you'll say something to our community? And he said, I'll dance. So we're not going to hold him to this. Do you want him to hold the flowers?
Yeah. Well, to say I'm overwhelmed is an understatement. I thought just a couple of people would show up. I didn't expect a full-scale Broadway production. And I'm amazed at the talent here. In a few more years, we're going to see the names of all of you guys and girls up in lights for soon to be a major movie. So I know you're a little disappointed because you were really expecting Tom Cruise. But because of the early hour, my makeup man was late, so I didn't quite get it. I was going to do first of all, I really want to congratulate your teacher, David Katzman. He did the Spielberg of the City and Wise Temple. I think I was going to give some usual boring wise advice, but after seeing the students here, I don't think they need any advice. I just hope they will make less of a mess than my generation of what is to come. How many of you had Mrs. Raymond as your first-class teacher? Raise your hand. Oh, wow. Wow. So that's what she's been doing all this time. I was wondering. Okay, thank you. I have the dime. I really don't know whether I have much to teach you. It's fairly easy, and it was kind enough on the screen there to talk about my service in the World War II and in the War of Independence. I think the word hero is probably the most overused four-letter word in the English vocabulary, because it doesn't really take much courage to be a soldier. You're just in there with your friends. What it takes real courage is to stand up for your beliefs, even if everybody else in society says it's wrong. As an example, the Quakers, the Christian Quakers, out of belief, do not fight in wars, and they take a lot of heat for that. But they were also the people who got my father and mother over here. Without them, they wouldn't be here. But to be in the middle of a war and the patriotic excitement and say, because I believe war is wrong, I'm not going to do it, that takes more courage than being on the front line and shooting at somebody and shooting here. As I say, I didn't expect this when Mr. Katzman came to talk to me. I didn't expect this is probably going to be the toughest ticket besides Hamilton for me.
We're actually going to sell copies of the DVD and make money for we're going to sell copies of the DVD and make money for the temple. That's okay. So thank you to all of Ms. Raymond's family. What an incredible story. In the Torah, it says, Lifnei Seva Takum, which means before the elderly, before the old, we should stand up. I'm not asking you to stand up yet, but what it reminds us is that when we stand before those who have lived before us, who have made our lives possible because of the sacrifices they made, because of the vision they had, that we are the beneficiaries. We benefit from their incredible work. And so not only do we stand physically, but we stand by our very lives as we recognize what they've given us. And at your Passover Seder that begins next Friday night, or maybe Saturday night if you're going to do it one of those 2 days, remember that we tell the story of the Exodus. We tell the story of liberation from Egypt, of crossing the sea to freedom, not just to remember the story from the Torah, but also to know that each of our families has that story to tell. Each of our families has a story to tell of someone who lived in one place and left and went to another to find a better life, to fulfill their dreams and ambitions for their family. So the Passover story is an ancient story, and it's a real story. So I'm going to now cue the kids by saying this. Take time to speak with your parents and grandparents and learn about the stories of their lives. We all have a story, and each one carries a blessing.
We're so, so proud of you. And Tom would like to share one more thought, and then I'm going to share a thought with you as well.
Okay. I'd like to say that my wife, Rachel, we were married for quite a long time, and one day she mentioned, by the way, when I was 15 years old, I joined the underground, the Haganah, to fight against the British. But unlike most of us, boastful Americans, this was just sort of by the way. And so I want to toast her. I want to toast my daughter, Orly, my grandson, Yaniv. And thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you.